Hey crypto peeps, hope you're doing well. Today's date is 12th of January 2024, and what a week it's been this week, as you've probably know and understood. So let's get straight to having a look at the price today, shall we? Bitcoin today is trading down a little bit at 45,841. Just a couple of days ago, as you are probably aware, with the SEC decision on 11 Bitcoin ETFs being funded and approved, Bitcoin rose to nearly $49,000, but it's been on a bit of a slide since then, mainly because people are probably taking profits and taking advantage of that. But we should see some good gains over the next year. So with this, lots of ETF news out there. Let's move straight to my paper-based pieces of news, shall we? Okay, so my first piece of news here, this is Bitcoin ETFs are here, the full list, their outlooks, and the winners and the losers. On July 1st, 2013, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss filed to launch the Winklevoss Bitcoin Trust. At the time, it was considered a groundbreaking product, but the SEC was nowhere near ready to approve an ETF that invested in an unregulated asset in an unregulated market. This week, more than 10 years later, the original vision of the Winklevoss twins comes to life, and the SEC has finally approved the launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs. And it goes on here, spot Bitcoin ETFs are viewed as necessary. If you're going to invest in Bitcoin, it's the best to invest in the coin itself, not a derivative of it. And there's lots of details on this here. It says, why was the January 10th date so important? Quite simply, this is the decision deadline date for ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF, or ARKB. ARK was one of the original filers of a Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC has a specific period of time which it has to respond to the filing. And for ARK, January 10th was the final day. There was always the possibility that ARK would be the only one approved on Wednesday, since it was the only one of the filings with that deadline. But we think that the SEC saw what went on with Bitcoin futures and how one ETF got the head start and ended up controlling the market. The same thing happened with blockchain ETFs as well. So it's just easier and more fair to let everyone go all at once who has their ducks lined up and who are ready to go. And with that, 11 were approved. Here are the 11 here and how they're doing, where their custodians are, their fees, their waiver details on the exchanges and stuff as well. And this article goes in depth into each of those ETF trusts, so you can have a read for that and see what you think and make up your mind on all this. As with all these articles, the links are down below, so check them out in full. So lots of great interesting information there. This is going to be really ETF heavy because, you know, that's where we are right now with this groundbreaking new development for cryptocurrencies. On the Bitcoin this year, Bitcoin supply shock, 57% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in 2 years. A supply shock may be brewing in Bitcoin, as on-chain data shows 57% of all Bitcoin hasn't seen any movement since at least 2 years ago. As pointed out by Capriol Investments founder Charles Edwards in a post on X, the Bitcoin supply, dormant since at least 2 years ago, has been hitting consecutive new all-time highs recently. The Bitcoin investors holding supply, this owed makeup for a segment of the wider long-term holder group, and the long-term holders refer to investors who have been holding the coins since at least 155 days ago. A statistical fact is that the longer holders keep their coins still on the blockchain, the less likely they become to move them at any point. And here's a chart here that shows the trend in the percentage of total circulating Bitcoin supply held by the segment of long-term holders over the history of cryptocurrency. And as you can see here, where, you know, here's the Bitcoin, which is the Bitcoin price, which is the black. And the blue here is the Bitcoin supply last active 2 years ago. And you can see right here on today's date, it's at 57%. So a lot of people just aren't moving it. They're holding to see what happens here. And as displayed in the graph, the supply held by these long-term holders has been following an upward trajectory since the FTX collapse and has been continuously setting new all-time highs. And recently the growth in this metric has slowed a bit, but it's still been going up, as you can see there in the graphic. So that's interesting news there. If that interests you, check out the links below for more detail on that. Another video here I think you should watch is quite interesting to get viewpoints on this. So this is a video on a news station, and it's Kevin O'Leary talking about the spot Bitcoin ETF approvals and institutional adoption. I watched it. It's around about 9 minutes long. It's very good there. Have a look at that. The link will be down below. Moving on to my next piece of paper-based news here on investing.com. Rich Dad Poor Dad author reveals how much Bitcoin he bought after the ETF approval. I like this guy. I think he's very sane in what he talks about. He knows a crash is coming. It's absolutely coming. Watch out for later this year. And also watch out for our upcoming future forecasting group, news predictions and crypto predictions on what's going to be happening with the NASDAQ this year. Some very interesting data that came through on that one. Anyway, Robert tweeted that the US should be ready for big trouble if the US Treasury and the Federal Reserve and the PhDs in the government institutions should fail to save the economy. If the US dollar collapses, he wrote, the US is likely to fall into hyperinflation. He's been advocating the world's flagship cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, over the past few years. He's been making bullish predictions since 2020 after the pandemic started and the US government began to print enormous amounts of US dollars out of thin air. He has recently tweeted that he was buying more Bitcoin, and in today's tweet he mentioned that he revealed that he had purchased 5 more Bitcoins, adding them to his stash, and 5 Bitcoins were valued today at the time of $231,000. So, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He believes what's happening. He believes the crash is imminent, and we may have data coming to support that. So have a look at see what we got. So moving here on Market Watch, what history says about the first of a kind ETFs, a Bitcoin product's debut. Interesting article here. I'm not going to read all this out because it's a lot of ETF heavy stuff here, but the links are down below, so please check these out. Be informed on what's going on out there. Have a look at this. It's got some great information here about how the Bitcoin ETFs compared to other ETFs in the past, especially the gold ETFs when they went online, and it's following a pretty similar pattern at the moment. So have a look at that. Great information, fantastic stuff. Moving on to my next piece of paper-based news here on Bazinga Crypto. Vanguard shuns Bitcoin ETFs and faces social media backlash from crypto enthusiasts. Why it's doing this, I don't know, but the investment giant, known for its conservative long-term approach, declared Bitcoin too volatile and refused to offer any of the new funds, sparking a backlash online from the people that were in it. Customers attempting to purchase BlackRock on Vanguard's platform were met with a notification that the trade could not be completed due to various reasons, including regulatory restrictions and trading limitations. Now, this didn't go down too well, and I've seen loads of posts on Twitter about how people now are moving their funds out of Vanguard in the other ones that are offering these 11 new ETF funds. So I think that's a big, serious bad decision on the move of Vanguard there, but we'll see how that plays out for them. Are they right? Are they wrong? Only history will tell. So that's it for the paper-based news. It's pretty much all ETF stuff out there. You can get this kind of stuff everywhere. Everyone's talking about ETFs at the moment. It's big news. It means that there should be, over a period of the next few months, going on to 18 months or so, big, huge institutional and consumer adoption of Bitcoin in very easy ways. So with that, that's the paper-based news over with. We're going to move to some video-based news here. And the first one I have here is Altcoin Daily. Favorite of mine. Subscribe to these. Great stuff every single day. Bitcoin and crypto market is going to go absurd. And this is just the beginning. So we've got some experts on there talking about what's happening with the spot Bitcoin ETFs and how that might affect you and the markets in general. This one goes on for 11 minutes. Very informative. Check that one out. My second video here is Coin Bureau. Again, another one I subscribe to. Absolutely fantastic stuff every single day. 2.39 million people watch this. Great stuff. subscribe to it yourself. They're talking about Ethereum versus Solana, or Sol versus ETH, and what's going to happen in 2024, and which one might be the best one for you to invest in. It's not financial advice, just for fun and entertainment, but have a look at that. It's very informative. My final piece of video-based news is on one that I don't know too much about, but I've subscribed to her. I'm watching some of her videos. It's pretty good. And this is called Crypto Casey, and she's talking about the Bitcoin news hype. What's actually going on? You know, is the Fed in a step-by-step plan to hijack crypto? Make up your own mind. Have a listen to what she's got to say anyway, because it's always good to be informed of different viewpoints. This goes on for 14 minutes, so have a look at that one. So that's pretty much it of a roundup of the news. It's pretty much all ETF news out there at the moment, with some other news as well. So it's, and you know, the news is dragging Bitcoin up, dragging some of the alts up, but you know, it's hovering at a pretty safe level. We should see how it's going to develop over the next week. If you like what we're doing here, click that button, subscribe, check out the links below for all the details, follow the links, you know, do your own research. Have a great week out there, be safe out there. Namaste, we'll see you next week.